make sure I am recording this. I can't see the tally light now on the camera because the video thingy's in the way, and this is going to be a long video, and I can't remember everything without my video printer. Anyway, before we start, I've got a new camera to show you. I know. But it has been my birthday, isn't it? So I figured that, well, no, I didn't treat myself, but my daughter got me this absolutely gorgeous Lego Film SLR camera. Look at it. I spent about 2 hours yesterday making it because it was quite an involved thing to do. All the parts inside and everything. It's just like, I don't know, so much detail in there. It's quite unbelievable. It's got a viewfinder. It doesn't take pictures, right? It doesn't take pictures, unfortunately, but it does come with a removable back, and also you get 2 delightful little film strips with it. So all in all, I absolutely love my 60th birthday present from my little girl. Absolutely fantastic.
What did I say?
During the meanwhilest.
During the meanwhilest? No, I don't like that at all.
Well, hello, during the meanwhilest watchers, budgie and border terrier lovers alike, Fujifilm fanboys and, well, camera nerds in general. Come one, come all, I say, and that should just about cover it all. We are back, though. We are back after our break, and during that break, I somehow managed to celebrate my 60th birthday. Now, I know what you're all thinking. How can this be, Nicholas? After all, you look so young. And ladies, sorry to disappoint you, but I am a very, very happily married man. I know I am because my wife keeps telling me. Anyway, in this year video today, I'm going to tell you all about the 9 months or so I've owned my Fujifilm X-H2. So a kind of long-term look at it. The good, the not so good, the meh, I suppose. This isn't a review mentioning all the dimensions, the different frame rates, film sims, video codecs, etc. If you want to know all that, then there's a link to Fujifilm's X-H2 product website in the description below this video. Now, I bought my X-H2 from Swansea Camera Centre back in July 2023, and it's been used, well, almost every day since to shoot both stills and video with over 9,000, well, nearly 10,000 now, pieces of still and video media recorded in that time. And before we kick off with my thoughts on the camera, though, can I just urge you all to support your local camera shop? Now, you may save a few shekels, when you shop online, but more often than not, your local camera shop will price match where it reasonably can. And it offers you vast levels of knowledge and experience, as well as the opportunity to handle a camera or lens before buying it. And that is oh so valuable. Use it or lose it. Right then, on to my thoughts on my Fujifilm X-H2. Now, this isn't a review per se. I'm not a reviewer, but more my feelings and thoughts about the camera after 9 months. Now, I would consider myself an average type of camera user, shooting landscapes, macro, and a bit of nature, birds and the sort. I mainly shoot stills, but also use the camera for a fair bit of video too. But I'm not, well, I don't think anyway, what you would call a power user. Now, I bought it because my photography habits changed, making a larger, heavier and more balanced body than my X-T5 a real necessity. I made a video at the time detailing my reasons for change, and I'll link to that up above somewhere. Right, let's start with the good things about the camera, and there are many to get through. First off, I know is a subjective matter, and that is the design and looks of the camera. Now, I love it, even though I didn't think I would after owning a number of XT range cameras, with their retro dials and gorgeous good looks. Now, the X-H2, it cannot match the X-T5's looks, especially the silver and black one I had, but it's still an attractive camera and not that much larger overall, really. But I do really appreciate the chunkier grip and extra weight the X-H2 has over my X-T5. Now, as I already said, I wanted a camera more balanced with a larger lens on and one with a more secure grip. And although it's heavier, the overall feel in the hand is somehow lighter. It's just a much more evenly balanced kit in the hand, with that extra grip contributing to that improved level of comfort. Continuing along the ergonomic front, all the command dials and numerous buttons have a quality, well-engineered feel to them. There's no, accidentally bumping things, and the number of customizable buttons is, it's more than enough for anyone, really, I think. The camera's compact size, though, does mean that they're all packed together a bit, and using the camera while wearing gloves can be a little tricky. I do have quite large hands, though, and people with smaller ones might not face the same issue. Now, the camera has more ports than you could shake a stick at, with separate headphone and microphone ports, a USB-C port, and a full-size HDMI one. A port to plug in a remote release completes the lineup, and they're all hidden behind like hinged doors, which can be tricky to access or open, especially behind my three-legged thing non-custom L bracket. Now, I didn't think I would like going back to a PSAM dial, but within a day or so, I'd completely forgotten about the retro dials on my X-T5, and the 7 custom C positions on that dial mean that I can have all the shooting options I could think of saved to a specific location. Now, there's no way I'll ever remember them all, so I made a sticker and placed it behind the screen. And here are all the options I programmed into that custom dial. And I've still got a blank one left as well. What will I do with that? I wonder. I don't know. Now, let's talk about that screen next. Bit controversial at first, but photographers will tell you that a two-way folding screen is better, but I much prefer the fully articulating screen on my X-H2 and the X-T4 before that. I like that when it's not in use, I can, fold it safely out of the way. But I can fully understand why Fujifilm went back to the folding screen design for the more photocentric X-T5. The resolution and refresh rate of the touchscreen displays are more than good enough for my needs, and the display options available make the screen really customizable, even with programmable finger swipes giving you even more options. I found that it can be a little temperamental, though, sometimes taking a couple of swipes to register, but I do have a screen protector on it, so that might be contributing to that. As good as the screen is, though, I find that I'm more of an EVF user, both for shooting and reviewing my images, and the viewfinder on the X-H2 is quite simply superb. I think it's either 5.67 or 5.76 million dots, one of the two, but it shares its resolution with the huge GFX 100, that first generation one. Comparing it to the X-T5, it really is a night and day feel. It's easily the best EVF I've ever used. Now, maybe it would have been nice to have the option to use the tilting EVF attachment the GFX 100 uses, as I loved that system for shooting at tricky angles or low down. But I'm not complaining, and don't think I could never now go back to using an inferior EVF. So good is this one. The camera has 2 memory card slots, a CF Express Type B and a UHS2 compatible SD card slot. Now, I use both slots and shoot uncompressed RAW or video to the CF, and fine JPEGs or backup video to the SD card. RAW files do come in at around 85 megabytes, so not small, and something worth considering storage-wise. Now, I use a pro-grade CF card and SanDisk Extreme Pro SD cards, and I have no problem with either on this camera. Right, that's the physical attributes out of the way. Before I go on to reveal my thoughts of what it's like in everyday use, now if you'd be interested in a video about how I've set up the camera and how I've programmed the various function buttons, then let me know and I will happily oblige. Last thing on the camera's build, now it's been used in all types of weather conditions and in all sorts of locations and temperatures, and I've no reason to doubt the camera's ruggedness or weather sealing. Moving along, I'm used to Fujifilm's menu system now, having owned a number of their cameras over the past few years, and so I am well used to its foibles. I find it comprehensive, logical, and easy to follow, well, now at least. Well, not at first maybe, but then I was firmly entrenched in the much simpler Nikon menu system then. Thankfully, though, it now returns to your last used menu item and not just any random old spot that it used to do before, and still does in some of Fujifilm's cameras, like the old X-T4. I'm sure they could easily fix this with a firmware update, so come on, Fuji. Autofocus next, and I found this to be fast and reliable. I use the IAF when filming these in-studio videos, and I've got no complaints on that front. And when out birding, I use the bird AF detection thing. That has really helped me to get more in-focus images than just using continuous AF and a single or zone focal point. For the record, I use focus priority and not release priority when shooting, ensuring even more in focus frames. Now, along with bird AF, there are a number of other specialist or custom subject detection modes available, none of which I've tried, apart from the plane when I tried that, and that's quite good. Another AF feature I do use regularly, though, is the focus bracketing functionality when shooting my macro and nature images. Now, I regularly set it to shoot 100 frames or so, and then when using Helicon focus to stack the images, I find it to have been accurate and comprehensive. Now, when shooting video, I use it primarily to film, these videos, the ones where I'm sat here at my desk. And as I said, I found the IAF to be accurate and reliable, even with my third-party Viltrox 23mm lens set to f1.4. And a lovely lens that is too. When using manual focus, I find the peaking functionality to be really useful and accurate. Now, I do rely on it a fair deal for macro and landscape work, and mainly use the red highlight option. Even in MF mode, though, a press of the back button focus button immediately engages autofocus, which is handy then to find my subject and then, fine-tune manually if needs be. Now, I don't use and never have used the continuous high or low speed burst modes, so I can't really comment on AF accuracy, speed, or shooting, or the size of the buffer in that regard. I do apologise. IBIS, though, is something that I do use and rely on when birding. I can regularly get sharp shots zoomed right out at 400mm and shooting down as low as 1/60th of a second, and that's more than acceptable, meaning I can stay away from really high ISO settings. How did we all cope without, vibration reduction systems, either in the camera body or in the lens in the past? Remind me again. And no comment saying real photographers don't need it, please. We do, trust me. The camera has a front tally light, so I know when I'm recording this nonsense. I believe a future firmware update will bring the X-T5's flashing red screen surround, making it even more obvious when you are recording a video. I've had no issues with the camera overheating at all, though to be fair, I'm probably not pushing it beyond 50% even of its capabilities. But still, I regularly record 3 videos on the trot in here, so perhaps an hour or so in one go without the camera getting overly warm, let alone hot. Before moving on to the negatives, if there are any, that is, what about image quality? Well, I find the 40 megapixel sensor the largest resolution in any APS-C camera on the market today, results in images full of highly resolved detail. My go-to landscape lens, the 10-24, isn't on Fujifilm's famous list of lenses that can resolve the full 40 megapixels, but I find the images shot with it perfectly acceptable anyway. Images shot with a 100-400, a lens that is on the list, are absolutely jam-packed with gorgeous detail. As well as providing a ton of resolution and detail, the sensor also delivers on the dynamic range front, and I find that with scenes I might needed to have bracketed or used, a graduated neutral density filter with in the past, I can now get in one shot. And the resultant images are either fine just as they are, or where I do need to shoot carefully to protect highlights, I found that I can lift the shadows and in post to reveal unseen details with little or no noise creeping in. The extra resolution also allows for mega cropping in post, with even really, really heavy crops still leaving me with a 10 to 12 megapixel image. And again, I can use Lightroom's super resolution function if I need to add any pixels in for a print, something like that. On the ISO front, I find images to be clean and usable all the way up to 3200. I've not really gone beyond that, so can't comment. But if there is any noticeable ugly noise, images clean up easily and really well in Lightroom's photo enhanced denoise thing like feature. And I've also tried DxO's app too, and that just works just as well. I don't really make use of any of the film simulations except when shooting video, where I use a nostalgic neg, and I prefer that even over Eterna, which is people's most go-to for video. Now, when the Reala Ace comes out later this year in a firmware update, I'll be sure to give that a go, maybe even for stills. I really do need to try those film sims, don't I? If you shoot Fujifilm JPEGs, let me know your favourite film sim in the comments. Anyway, speaking of video, I can't remember now. While this isn't in the same hybrid league as the X-H2S with its stacked sensor, it's still a formidable video camera, and certainly more than enough video camera for me. With its extra resolution, the camera offers 8K video along with a plethora of other shooting options and frame rates right up to like 240 frames per second. Now, I mainly use the camera for shooting this type of, in-office nonsense, so it's hardly a challenge, and I just use 4K and 25 frames per second for these. When I do shoot video outdoors, it's usually slow motion footage, and I stick to either 100 or 200 frames per second and then edit and play back at 25, so it's either 4 or 8 times slow-mo. And I find the footage to be really smooth and clean, even when zoomed out to 400 millimeters. Video image quality is excellent. I use the nostalgic neg film sim, and this gives me a look I like in my finished videos. I also find the footage really easy to edit. Now, I only use iMovie, but on a reasonably well powered M2 Pro Mac Mini or M1 Pro with the extra cores MacBook Pro. Both machines take the footage, sometimes multiple streams of it as well, in their stride. More on this next week though, when I'll be looking at a review of my M2 Pro Mac Mini. Now, I've only ever used the camera with an external microphone like this one, so I can't comment on the in-camera audio, sorry. So that's all the good stuff out of the way. What about the not so good or the negatives? Well, there aren't many. In my 9 months of ownership, I've experienced just one instance of camera lockup where I've had to remove the battery to get it going again. On the battery front, it's okay, and no more. Now, I don't use the rear screen much for chimping when shooting, preferring to compose and review my images, as I said, through the EVF. I've not really counted how many shots or hours of footage I can get out of the camera, but find myself putting a freshly charged one in, every other or every two to 3 days. Obviously, if I shoot handheld a lot using IBIS and chimping, then it's going to deplete the battery quicker than when I'm shooting it on a tripod, say. The doors covering the ports, they can be a right old pain to open with my nailless fingers, and they can feel a little flimsy, though none have broken off. I can't say the same for the PC sync port cover, though. That fell off a while ago, and I have not seen it since. One other minor gripe is that the paint has worn off the hot shoe mount, despite me having used a flash on only a handful of occasions. I don't actually mind that, to be honest, though. I like my cameras to look, look used. Now, as I said at the start of this video, the camera's small physical footprint means the buttons are packed close together, and if you have larger than average hands or regularly wear gloves while shooting, this can be a minor issue. Right, well, there we are. My thoughts on my X-H2. Overall, I've been really very happy with it. I do sometimes wonder whether an XS20 would have been a better buy, as I do like the one I bought for Bethan, but then I do like the resolution and the EVF that the X-H2 offers. I also wonder sometimes, should I have stretched a little further and gone for the X-H2S, but then I quickly remind myself that if this camera, it's probably too much for me anyway, certainly video-wise, then that one would be overkill at another level altogether again. And again, the extra resolution in this camera is lovely. Overall, I'm really happy and would be equally happy in recommending a Fujifilm X-H2 to anyone who asks. The higher resolution, I think, is its real USP, and that, along with its excellent ergonomics, make me a very satisfied and happy Fujifilm X-H2 owner indeed. Right, that's it for this week's Tech Tuesday. We'll be back on Saturday, where I'm going to be undertaking something of a challenge laid down recently by Simon Booth in one of his videos. I have a go at that. And next Tuesday, as I said, it's a look at my M2 Pro Mac Mini computer. And beyond that, I don't know. The following Saturday might be a look at 10 memories, 5 images and 5 pieces of music that evoke memories in me. But I haven't made that yet, so we'll see. Right then, until whenever then, be nice and we'll see you soon. Okay, ta-ra.